Hello, and welcome back to the Top 10 Countdown. I'm your host, Teresa, and today we'll be revisiting the notorious Nostradamus, who famously made 942 prophecies that were documented in his 1555 book, Les Prophéties. So, what did Nostra predict for the year to come? Number 10 is Mars's light. Heads up, Elon, because Nostradamus is a party pooper, and his prediction for this year was that the light on Mars will go out. What does that mean? Who knows? The joys of Nostradamus is 70% of his predictions have been proven true, but we never know which ones they'll be. Either way, Nostradamus believed that humanity's quest to colonize Mars would be quashed somehow. Maybe he's predicting Martians, or a Martian power grid, or a Martian power cut, or a Martian whoozy-whatsy. I don't know myself. What I do know is good old Elon Musk is planning to use his SpaceX company to send people to Mars by 2026. So some generously predict that this is the source, and some disaster will happen on a trip there, or a trial run, or whatever it may be. Nostradamus loving royal gossip is number 9 in the countdown. Amongst his predictions for 2023, Nostradamus famously quoted, "Because they disapproved of his divorce, a man later they considered unworthy, the people will force out the king of the islands. A man will replace him who never expected to be king." Seems like our old buddy was maybe a bit of a Princess Diana fan, because many consider this passage to refer to King Charles III, who famously cheated on and divorced the lovely Diana, Princess of Wales. If this foundation is true, then it's assume that Nostradamus has implicated Charles will be abdicating the throne sometime this year, and that perhaps it may not be to the heir of the throne, Prince of Wales William, who will take the position, but rather Prince Harry. Harry being crowned would explain the reference of a man who never expected to be king. While I may not be following royal family much, I'd kinda love to see how Harry and Meghan being crowned would go down with some of these people. Number 8 is feeling not so great. It's been a hard year, and many countries are facing backlash in which the ways they govern. Their people are angry and vocalize that boldly in public displays, garnering worldwide attention and demands for justice and equity. Nostradamus has predictions that illustrate this change in 2023. Trumpets are shaking in the great controversy, and an agreement that has been broken, which can refer to the betrayal of democratic governments towards the people that they are meant to protect, alluding a rebellion or revolution somewhere on Earth in 2023. Sooner and later, you will see great changes, made dreadful horrors, and vengeance. As you've seen, this had already begun before the new year with the women of Iran. The USA has experienced much protesting in regards to their policing, and the Canadian government in regards to pipeline invasion on indigenous lands. Unfortunately, there are many more examples globally that we can even list. Number 7 is descent from heavenly status. I just like rhymes and subtle puns, it'll make sense in a second. What I'm referring to is Nostradamus' quote, "In the final persecution of the Holy Roman Church, there will be Peter the Roman, who will feed his flock amid many tribulations, after which the seven-hilled city will be destroyed, and the dreadful judge will judge the people." In the writings leading up to this quote, he also describes Pope Francis as the last true pope, and the man who will take his place will be dark, dangerous, and power-hungry. A man who will cause a scandal worthy of bringing down the Catholic Church. They've survived a lot of horrible scandals, so I don't want to imagine what could be so big enough to do that. That, or maybe our guy Nostradamus is in over his head on this one. Also, the predicted anti-pope is apparently named Peter, so I mean, if we just don't appoint a guy named Peter with his name, we should be good, right? Alright. This year, the royals are a hot topic for Nostra, which is number 6. Man, he can't keep his nose out this family. Nostradamus also predicted that we would see celestial fire on the royal edifice. That's obviously pretty vague, so there are a couple things we can assume this to be. Taken literally, a meteor could crash into Buckingham Palace, or a fire could magically erupt. In a literal sense, Harry and Meghan could be the center focus again, as their recent Netflix release and book deal have aimed a different kind of firepower at the royal family. One that lit up and tore down the reputation of many members and exposed their bigotry and status bias. On the other hand, if we view this on a broader scale, it could have to do with humanity as a whole, and the implementation of a royal hierarchy and status into our society in the first place, and then how over time it evolved into social status of a society. Technically, by that breakdown, we could say that the poverty, lower class, middle class, and high class are the same as the royal hierarchy system in the medieval era, wherein it was peasants, serfs, then high status, and royalty. In which case, celestial fire on a royal edifice could refer to wiping us all out. Just food for thought. Number 5, girls go to Mars and boys go to Venus, but what if they unionized instead? Not their journey to another planet, of course, but Nostradamus did predict the union of a masculine and feminine force, describing their alliance will be short-lived, as will its good effects. Numerous finger pointings will be happening this year, tying news stories across the year to this statement, because even now we can't find any consistent opinions or direct comparisons on what this could mean. It is once again a possible commentation on royal families Harry and Meghan and their subtle siege to air out the royal family, or is it perhaps an unexpected union of two of our world leaders of the opposite sex making political waves? Some discuss this may refer to real social change, again with the woman of Iran being a fantastic example as people of the world uplift their voices. This may be the time where patriarchal countries begin to consolidate and adhere to the needs and demands of women's equity. There's been a long time push globally for attacks against women, especially women of color and the LGBT community, to be addressed. Maybe in 2023 we'll see some of that change as man and woman and everyone in between unite to bring social and economic change for both sexes. Number 4 is enough to give me nightmares. Inflation. Yeah, our boy Nostradamus predicted inflation, and I want to meet the person who didn't slap the quill out of his hand when he was writing it down. I mean, come on, do us future people a favor. Anyway, Nostradamus wrote down that when there are no abbots, monks, or novices to teach, honey will cost much more than candle wax, the price of wheat will be high, man will be agitated and eat his friend in despair. Now, inflation is nothing new and we would have had it happen even without this prediction, but Nostradamus is also commenting on the generalized breakdown in food supply chains. We saw this as a result of pandemic and shipment blockades from certain countries we no longer support the economy of. He's even addressed the cost of food and how its price has soared. Now obviously we can't glide past that last bit in the sentence wherein Nostradamus highly implies that we may get a little snacky towards our fellow man, something he believes will happen due to inflation and food shortages. I'd like to think we're above this, but unfortunately, as you'll see in media nowadays, people can surprise you. Little Devil is number 3 in the countdown. The Antichrist very soon annihilates the 3. 27 years his siege will last. The unbelievers are dead, captive and exiled, with blood, bodies, water, and red hail covering the earth. Oof, that's a heavy one. Bit dramatic too. Can't really see that being good. Now, Antichrist of course can be metaphorical. It's not like the grounds are gonna crack open and some red dude is gonna come flying through with horns. News outlets have equated the figure of the Antichrist to a certain world leader that we have already seen wreaking havoc. It can also represent a group of people who when together are an oppressor. This could be a corrupt government, fringe political groups, or hate movements. Unfortunately, there is no shortage of these groups or people as the media is flooded with stories of devastation from across the world. It's easy to see our society is essentially crowbarring these Nostra predictions to fit our tragic era, eh? Number 2 is Evicting Leprechauns. Sorry, had to have some fun with the title, because in this prediction, Nostradamus talks about the effects of climate change by using rainbows. For 40 years, the rainbow will not be seen. For 40 years, it will be seen every day. And the dry earth will grow more parched, and there will be great floods when it is seen. Essentially 40 years of dusty, ashy earth, 40 years of soggy, flooded earth. This Nostra prediction comes at a time when Europe has experienced its worst drought in 500 years, and additionally, Africa is suffering through its longest and most devastating drought in history. And I mean, look outside. Even in notoriously frigid Canada, January is rainy and low in temperature instead of mountains of snow, ice, and igloos. Outside of being a commentation on climate change being at an actionable point, this does imply we'd somehow survive through intense weather changes to see them. Some believe this is only because certain areas of the globe will be affected. In this next and final prediction of our list, Nostradamus predicted 2 regions of France would ultimately be unbothered by much of his predictions for this year. Hear that? Should have taken your French classes more seriously. Number 1 is a prediction nobody wants to be true. Global conflicts. Nostradamus was cranky when he wrote the year 2023 evidently, because he's kind of ruining the vibe for us here. His prediction is for 7 months of great battle, continuing on to describe the demise of many through evil. Seeing as there are 3 different sets of countries that are currently experiencing some territory disputes with each other in 3 areas of our planet, not to mention some countries whose governing systems are going after their own people, any short time on social media or watching the news will catch you up to date quickly on what's happening between them and their increasing tensions or actions. As mentioned previously, Nostra highlighted that 2 regions of France, it seems, will be untouched by this chaos. Are the rich planning to flee and set up a selfish community of safety? Are these areas of France so rural that maybe they're just excluded? We aren't sure. Unfortunately, there's little more than we can do than stay informed, stay vigilant, and support the global cause of human rights. And on that note, we end our top 10 countdowns for today. I highly encourage you guys to hit Google and check out some of Nostradamus' other predictions for 2023, as not all of them were able to be discussed on our channel. channel, and some of these are scarily accurate. Until next time, don't forget to like and subscribe and comment down below if you have any predictions of your own for 2023.